Hi, I'm Nasr Mahmud. I'm the sales manager of IFM Electronic Middle East. I take care of the Gulf region and the Greater Middle East region and Asia as well. In SPS Drive this year, I'm looking forward to meeting the Dubai municipality decision makers as well as DIWA decision makers, system integrators, OEMs, and ADNOC decision makers. IFM Electronic is an automation and process control company. It was established in 1969 by Bert Marfer and Robert Buck. And since then, it's flourished into a company that has roughly 7,300 employees. We're now operating in roughly 95 countries. And our turnover since last year was 1 billion euros, which was the landmark turnover we reached on our 50th year. The core philosophy of IFM is close to you. That's what that really translates to when it comes to our clients is we make very close communication and coordinate with all our clients to figure out exactly what are their business problems and provide automation and process control solutions and that we develop ourselves in our R&D in Tettnang in Germany. We have a wide range of industries that we cover, from food and beverage to the water industry to steel, cement, and block factories. All kinds of any kind of manufacturing processes would of course use our products. Our product ranges, of course, encompass everything from process sensors to position sensors. Also, we have all kinds of bus systems and network bus systems like CAN bus, ASI bus. We also, one of our new focuses, of course, have been to digitize our information to cater to the IoT platforms and all kinds of cloud solutions that clients are now trying to upgrade their systems towards. So we have a platform called IO-Link. IO-Link is converting all your sensor information to digital information, so you can easily coordinate all these data with your ERP systems or any kind of cloud systems where you're doing some analytics. As a company, we've been actually here for quite a while. Most of the time, we were not directly operating here. We've been here since, I would say, 2005. Okay. We've been mostly operating through our distributors and agents. We still do that, but of course, our operations have expanded now. Now we have a lot of engineering partners. The industry that shows most promise especially for the kind of solutions we have, and also at the same time, I would say on a broad spectrum also, it has quite a huge potential, is the food and beverage, the water industry. We see a lot of course, we don't focus much on oil and gas, but I do know that even in the oil and gas industry, there's a huge potential where a lot of the industries are now moving towards creating more energy efficient solutions for their manufacturing processes, where they're trying to do, for example, energy management, trying to do asset management through condition monitoring. Some of these solutions, of course, we also provide on the back end side, on the software side. But yeah, mostly what we're seeing is food and beverage and the water. There's a lot of desal plants and these kind of things. There's quite a bit of investments happening, at least from the government side. So there's a lot of opportunities, whether it's in UAE or whether it's in Saudi Arabia, where they're now having, I think that called the King Faisal and King Abdullah City. I can't remember the name completely. Yeah. It is a huge free zone and a complete city free zone, which is quite interesting, where a lot of development is happening there and a lot of potential factories may move there. We see a lot of potential also in Egypt. Egypt seems to be becoming more of, like, I would say, the growing manufacturing hub due to some of its technical abilities of what's present within the country. There's a lot of, I think, very highly qualified engineers who are starting up their own companies to become system integrators and OEMs. So there's like a uptick in that region as well. In UAE, of course, there's always been a big push for manufacturing, especially either in the Northern Emirates or even in Dubai itself. What we're seeing more than actual new manufacturers coming is a transformation of automation in manufacturing companies here.
Okay. So they're sort of updating their systems and they're
exactly.
modernizing their manufacturing processes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So within those lines, what we're seeing is more and more companies are now trying to catch up to where manufacturing, there's something called OEEF. So they're trying to catch up to those levels that Europe and US kind of have in their factories by either automating it, because most of the factories over here are pretty much having hardwired systems, and they're over here, what they're trying to do is, of course, optimize that and have more simplified bus systems, and also at the same time translate all their information that they get from the field of the manufacturing process to something like an SAP system or Oracle system, which has their sales and production value information. So they can tie up their manufacturing with their business. So immediately they can get a very good quality information. So a lot of that is happening. On a global level, we've seen a very specific trend of what's really happened. Of course, what the main industries that are heavily affected, that unfortunately got really affected, is things like construction, which has cement, block, steel factories on a global level. Also, like the automotive industry, the car industry got affected heavily, but that was already a knock-on effect before COVID. Then what we've seen is anything to do with any kind of manufacturing where a lot of contact is there, things that are available only when you're outside, those things of course have been affected. What we're seeing an uptick is in, for example, in the food and beverage industry, purely because people are, and more or less on the ready meals side. So a lot of ready meals factory are now have a huge amount of uptick because people are now ordering those foods in, and they're doing more grocery shopping. People are cooking indoors more, they're not eating out anymore. So there's been a huge uptick in the food and beverage. We've also seen a lot of investment, of course, in medical. So a lot of upticks in things like syringes, things like test kits, those test tubes, the PPE manufacturing. So we've seen an uptick in those. So we've been able to supply to them. The companies that were not able to, of course, do that well in COVID, what they have started doing is optimizing their system. So what they've been doing is they've been transforming any kind of automation that could be done more virtually, either through cloud or something like this. Say, for example, condition monitoring of pump systems, condition monitoring of fans, and any kind of compressors that's being used in the manufacturing process. They want to now manage those assets, see how they're, what kind of energy efficiency they have, and just get the most out of it. It depends on who has more capital expenditures available to them, because it's happening mostly to, I would say, companies who have a bit more capital for them. Sure. People with lower capital, they're actually kind of, I wouldn't say downsizing, but they're kind of limiting their production cycles and trying to manage the costs that way. Because in the end of the day, some of them don't even have that much demand to do longer manufacturing cycles. So they're kind of cutting down that way. The ones who can, they have the capital expenditure. And we're seeing mostly, to be honest, in the food and beverage and the water industry. I think the amount of OEMs and system integrators, these people are the ones who are coming to SPS. Yes, there are end user clients coming, like the factory directors and the production managers and who not. They are coming, but the key focus of SPS, and what I've seen in Germany and what I understand from it as well, is usually OEMs and system integrators. If more of them are kind of brought in, then yeah, I could see this growing further and further. Also at the same time, I think SPS, what we're trying to do in SPS is also trying to create the awareness level here as well, so that we can get more and more companies transforming themselves from being, say, for example, general traders to actually a system integrator or an OEM to start catering to the local market here, which of course would automatically make SPS more and more bigger and bigger and bigger over the years. Some of the key people would be the regulatory people who, for example, from the oil and gas sector, maybe to understand what their requirements and like what are they usually looking for when they're trying to get into any kind of, when they're launching a project, for example, tendering a project, to understand what their what the process is like. Probably also from the Dubai Power, municipality, and all these sides as well, because they have a lot of these projects coming up now. Water treatment plants, sewage treatment plants, the desal plants, and all these things. So it's kind of to understand what it is that they need us to do in order to kind of get in with them for their projects, basically, just to kind of get those key contacts to kind of develop into that. And also to kind of give them also the first-hand awareness of what levels of automations are available for them from IFM that can help them improve their processes in this way. We will get one of our key speakers to speak more about, I think, IoT platforms that we have launched, and also about how it will help in the food and beverage industry and in the water industry. Essentially, what we have something is so the backbone of the IoT is something, a protocol we have is called IO-Link, which is something that is now becoming the market trend. It's not only us, pretty much every other competitor and every other non-competitor even within, from the bottom part to the top part of the full automation process, is now upgrading to IO-Link technologies, which is basically a digital platform that allows all your signals from your sensors and also the diagnostic information from your sensors to be transmitted all the way to the PLC, which controls the whole factory, to the IT hubs, which is your server or network, like cloud or ERP system. We also have the software suite for that, which we call GIB and TISC. And these software suites can allow the customer to get all this data into usable information and feed it to, say, their ERP system like Oracle or SAP, and show things like, for example, how many bottles were produced, how much raw materials were used for producing those bottles, and also things like how is my machine uptime, how much energy is it using, all into a single SAP format into their ERP system, so they can directly control their financials, their sales, their marketing strategy, everything based on these feedback from their actual manufacturing processes. It's not only manufacturing. This things that we have launched, it applies to all industry now.